Hey, what's up guys, John here. President Joe Biden is working on a variety of new taxes that we all need to look into because to me, the more I look into this, the more I realize that billionaires are going to become trillionaires over the next couple of years.
That overwhelmingly benefit the wealthy and created the biggest corporation. It's going to expire. And if I'm reelected, it's going to stay expired.
And the middle class and the poor are going to get greatly punished. Now, they say that the reason that they need to change our tax laws is to combat racial inequity and racial inequality.
Joe Biden's always painted himself as a defender of the middle class, but this tax policy pitch flies in the face of helping everyday Americans.
And they need to level the playing field and take money from the billionaires. But the reality probably isn't going to be anywhere near that, because the billionaires, let's just say, have a lot more power and authority than Elizabeth Warren and some of these politicians. The billionaires are the ones that really call the shots. I think we all know this. And so when they say tax the rich and eat the rich, do you think the billionaires that own the media companies are going to put out a conversation to take wealth and power away from themselves? Probably not, right? Probably not. But the more that you look into this, the more you realize, well, what are they trying to do then, John? How is this all going to work? Well, last month, on the 8th of March, they said that they need to assist home buyers. They need to give them aid. President Joe Biden suggested, why not a tax credit of $5,000 a year for the first 2 years, and maybe even down payment assistance. This could be great, or possibly offering a $10,000 incentive to home sellers that sell their properties to a owner-occupant.
I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down.
And they came up with these different structures. And a lot of people thought it was a great idea. But you have to ask yourself, well, why would they be doing this? What could be the real story? Well, this new tax policy of taxing unrealized gains is what we all need to look at. Because what billionaires are getting ready to do, possibly, could change everything we know about this country. In this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you exactly what's going on to help you and position you for what I believe is going to be a very big change in America. Please hit the like button, YouTube will share the content, educate more people about what's really going on in our economy. And if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for funding, maybe to invest in distressed real estate, get a business loan, buy a work truck, maybe you have some big goal, you're going to need funding to get there. We'd love to help fix your credit. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any issue at all in your credit report, go to greatcreditfast.com, click the link in the description just below this video, schedule a free call for tomorrow. Take a look at this. So it's pretty shocking. So they're also proposing a 2% annual tax on trust valued between $50 and $1 billion. Right? 2% annual tax. Now, I want to be very, very clear. A lot of people are going to dive in saying, billionaires, forget them, screw them. But look, at the end of the day, that's an opinion. Billionaires ultimately make the rules. And so this isn't what's going to likely happen, this 2% annual tax rate. But they're going to continue to push out this conversation that we need more taxes, we need more regulation, we need more government oversight, and we need more assistance to combat inequality and inequity. This is definitely going to be the conversation. I mean, if you just look at the timestamps, 4 days ago, world's billionaires should pay a minimum of 2% tax. Then, a month ago, billionaires, right, tax again. But this is October last year, a global levy of 2%, right? So they've been talking about this 2% tax for a while, talking about how they can bring forward these taxes. Well, let's look at this. Would taxes really solve the problem, or would taxes stunt growth and force a lot of companies to look at ways in which they can offset these taxes? Well, of course, right? And how are they going to offset these taxes? They're going to be offsetting these taxes by doing a couple things. One is they're going to be taking wealth away from their employees, hiring employees. They're going to be leaning more on automation. And then two, they're going to be looking at this. So, for example, additionally, Biden's proposal would impose a 25% tax on unrealized capital gains owned by Americans whose wealth exceeds $100 million. Now, if you had a net worth of $100 million and they said that you have a tax liability of $25 million, would you strike a check for $25 million to the federal government, or would you maybe buy apartment houses, maybe commercial real estate that's falling in value? Would you buy assets in which you can depreciate against your net worth to bring your tax liability to zero? You'd probably do that. When you look at what a lot of wealthy people do, they have great advisors, they have legal teams, they have accounting teams, and they use these teams to their favor. And so if they're telling us that, hey, this is what the potential tax could be, this is what they're likely going to start doing. And I believe they're going to start buying houses. They're going to start buying a lot of assets if this does, in fact, become law. Now, they pretend as if, oh, no, this is going to be an $800 billion revenue stream, as if the billionaires and the multi-millionaires are not going to be planning in advance of this. Of course they're going to. They go one step further, though, and they say that they have all these different changes. It's a $7.3 trillion tax hike starting, fiscal year 2025 in their budget. Several changes aimed at wealthier taxpayers, including minimum tax on billionaires, near doubling of capital gains tax rate, increased Medicare tax rate. This budget proposal comes, the IRS says it recently collected, although ramped up enforcement, more than $500 million on unpaid taxes from delinquent millionaires and wealthy tax cheats. Well, they go on to say it's going to reduce deficits $3 trillion over the next decade. And they're saying the capital gains rate, look at this, the capital gains tax rate for long-term capital gains, assets held for more than a year, is at most 20% capital gains at the profits you make selling or trading an asset. The tax rate that applied to particular capital gains involved in taxable income, how long you held the property when it was sold for. Now it's going to be jumping to 39.6%. Also, a 44.6% capital gains proposal, carried interest loophole, Medicare tax, income tax rates are going to be going up, right? This is a big blow for America, in my opinion, because we're just going to start seeing a lot of companies trying to offset these taxes and probably taking talent and taking opportunities overseas. It's going to be a really big change for our job market. There's just no doubt about it. They go on to saying that they also want to get rid of a 1031 exchange. Now, if you don't know what a 1031 exchange is let's say, for example, you own an apartment house or an investment property and you want to sell that property. And there's a tax liability there. Let's say you buy it for $1 million, you sell it for $2 million. There's a $1 million gain. Well, if you buy another investment property or a property of like kind for $2 million or greater, you can roll and defer those gains to the future. And a lot of wealthy people will continue to do that throughout their life without paying taxes on these gains. Now, many people will say that is unfair. That's not good. No, sure, many people could argue that. But if you look at what's actually happening there, when they do this, the tax rate of each property that they buy and sell will change the property tax base for nearly forever, right? And so as long as that property later doesn't sell for a loss during an economic slowdown, but even so, if that did happen, that tax base would still be a lot higher than what it was before. And so schools, street services, police departments, cities, they reap massive benefits, and also nearby property owners that own property there also benefit because the comps and comparable sales, indicate a higher price. So when they sell their property, the appraisal will likely come in higher if it's a property similar to that. And so there are a lot of incentives, but when you take away these incentives, what ultimately happens is it pulls back on investment. And so neighborhoods are not going to get the investment. And we're going to start to see, I think, a big pullback from real estate, all of which is not good for cities that are already going through a very, very big deficit. You look at LA, California's going through a $68 billion deficit right now. All these cities, especially the millions and millions of new people that are coming here, they need money, right? They need food, they need shelter, they need access to survive, right? Access to liquidity to survive. And so if these cities are walking through this big crisis and they're pulling away things like 1031 exchanges and really skyrocketing tax bases, revenues, I believe, are just going to continue to fall, and it's going to hurt only one group of people. It's going to be the 95%. That's who it's going to hurt. The top 5% are going to get richer and wealthier than ever before. I mean, because look, when they come out and they say, look, we're going to help home buyers, let's say that they do offer incentives and help to home buyers. Well, this is what it would look like. With interest rates at about 8% for the average home buyer, which is a 680 credit score, let's just say they're at a 7.39%. Let's say they're the perfect credit score borrower, just to remove all reservation. Perfect credit score borrower, 7.3%. Let's say it's 7.3%, and we'll even round down. 7.3% with a 6% down payment, which is the average down payment for first-time home buyer. Their monthly mortgage would be $3,500. With President Biden's tax plan, with this, this benefit of $5,000 per year, it's about $400 a month, right? They would still be paying $3,100 a year or $3,100 a month for their mortgage. How many people can afford that? Not many. especially considering that insurance and property tax is likely going to be going up over the next year or so, right? So what are most people going to do? Well, most people are going to opt into rent, right? Because renting, they could rent for half that price in most areas. So when you see what's actually happening here, it's this, this conversation being had about, combating, as they say here, racial wealth inequality. And how this works is not really in my opinion, for the masses. The masses are going to really be stiffed here over the next couple of years. Look at this. The revenue proposal, the administration's fiscal year 2025 budget, U.S. Treasury 2024, would raise revenues, would help ensure wealthy and large corporations pay their fair share, expand tax credits for working families, and improve tax administration and compliance. The millions of African Americans who left the southern United States to escape Jim Crow, right? And they date back to the 1930s as to why we need to do all this. But would it actually go as planned for what they're saying? Or are we going to see a lot of wealth getting, pushed to the top? Let's have a conversation about this below. Do you think we're going to see the billionaires and the multi-millionaires get a lot richer off this tax plan? Or do you think they're just going to pony up their checkbook and they're going to write 8, 9, 10-figure checks, annually to the federal government? I don't see it happening. I see them moving heaven and hell to do the opposite and do whatever they have to do. Whether it's moving money to a different country, maybe they move it to the Cook Islands, maybe they move it to Switzerland, maybe they move it to St. Kitts and Nevis. Whatever they end up doing, they're going to find trust and shelters to protect and preserve their wealth before writing a check. That's my opinion. What do you think? Drop below. Let's have a conversation about this. I believe that we're going to see a lot of this pain getting pushed down to the bottom 95%, and with it, everyday mom and pop property owners own 70% of the rental inventory in America. 70% of all rental properties are owned by mom and pops. So this is going to be a big opportunity, I believe, to go out there and invest in rental properties over the next couple of years. So if you're thinking about investing in rentals, maybe investing in single-family homes, real estate, you want to get everything in line right now. Get out of high interest rate consumer credit card debt if you have it. Put yourself in a good spot, because if you look at his face, he doesn't look like he's playing around. This, to me, I believe this is real. I think this is likely going to be happening. So if you'd like to fix your credit to position yourself for funding, we'd love to help you at my company, GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, or any negative item on your credit report, go to GreatCreditFast.com. Click the link in the description just below this video. Schedule a free call for tomorrow, and I'll catch you next video.